Hello everyone and welcome to my 30-day build challenge. Today we're doing day number 16 where we're building a train workshop, and I've already set out a bit of train track here behind me where we're going to build our workshop. The workshop will feature an automatic system for assembling trains using deployers with schematics as a filter. I'll be going over the full build and explain the mechanics of how this works later in this video. Before we get to that, I want to mention that this build is part of my 30-day create build challenge where I do 30 different builds, with each build taking no more than one real-life day to complete. I'm only using create, no add-ons, and all my builds are survival friendly so that you can use them in your worlds. I also want to mention that I did build a train for this video. A link to the schematic will be in the description below, but I will not be covering how to assemble and build trains in this video as I have previously made a guide on this, but I will link to this guide in the description below. But that guide will teach you everything you need to know about trains. So now we're ready to continue this video. I'll start by making a layout for the build. I decided to use a darker texture for the area where the train will be, using cobbled deep slate and gravel to kind of darken the tone, while the rest of the factory just has stone and andesite. Now I'm getting started on the platform that will hold our deployers. I'm using a linear chassis for this, as I think it looks nice. You could use any block. This platform is 5 blocks wide and 21 blocks long. Once your platform is done, you can start placing the deployers underneath the platform. As you're placing the deployers, you will also want to make sure to put the schematic of the train into the deployers. Make sure that you've actually placed the schematic in the correct location before setting this filter. This build is a bit more expensive than usual, as you'll need over 100 deployers to make this work. On top of our platform, I've added some contraption controls for turning on and off our deployers, and I set the filter to a deployer. There's also a bunch of chests which will hold the materials for our trains. Then I placed a rope pulley on top of the platform and used a gearbox and some shafts to be able to give this power. I will use a sequence gear shift shown here in order to control the motion of the rope pulley, and the entire system will be powered by a single water wheel. If you're importing the schematic of this build, you will need to take a water bucket and place it on the water wheel, just as I'm doing here. Now, water wheels spin at 4 RPM, so I'm using a speed controller to be able to set the speed of the rope pulley. Later in this video, we will be able to give the sequence gear shift here a redstone pulse, and it's going to lower and raise our rope pulley there, enabling our printer. Then I started planning the inside of the workshop a little bit. I want the platform to be accessible both when it's raised and when it's lowered. For the outside, I went ahead and used a texture with bricks, mud bricks, and jungle planks, but most of the blocks will be bricks here. The building has a risk to look very flat and square, so I'm adding a few columns to the outside like this, just to not end up with completely flat walls. And I'm also seeing that this staircase that I built here is a little bit too long, so I'm going to make that shorter and add a platform later in the video. Now the roof will have 2 sections, so I built this area on the right to give it a little bit of shape, and then adding more columns to the outside for more shape. I also tried to use some sandstone slabs to give the build some different colors. I figured this back section here will be grayed as like an outdoor section, so I opened it up and built a little roof over it. I really liked the contrast of the deep slate bricks here, and I decided to use deep slate bricks for part of the roof as well, with a little bit of a glass ceiling here over the actual printer. That's pretty much all for the build. I'm gonna skip over the decorating a little bit and just show you guys the final result here. And now our build is done. This is our train workshop, and I've spent a little bit of time doing interiors and touched up little things here and there on the outside just to make it pop a little bit extra. This has probably been one of the harder builds to like decorate out of all the builds that I've built so far. I'm not sure I'm happy with it, but it works, and it's a one-day build, so I've learned a lot doing this. But enough about me. Let me give you the tour and show you how everything works. So I did do a little bit of decorating out here. You know, we got some storage back here. Oh, there's even a ladder in here where you can go up into the workshop itself. So a little bit of decoration here. We still have everything the same as it was, so I also put some items in here so we can build our trains. I don't have anything in these chests, but you know, you could put items in there if you want to make a lot of trains. You got to fill up the chests with items. I put some blueprints here just for decoration. These are just like random pieces here. And if you don't know about blueprints, you can actually use them to like craft stuff automatically just by like clicking on them, as long as you have the items in your inventory. I use the copycat panels here for a little bit of decoration. Kind of like the way they look. So I also hung a mechanical arm here, just upside down. It doesn't actually do anything, it's just there to decorate. Another blueprint, and of course the cactus, which you'll find in a lot of my builds. And here's like the button to turn everything on or off. And then out here we have where the train actually gets assembled. I thought this was a nice way of putting these, I don't know what they're called, like train stoppers. If anyone knows the name, let me know. And I also have 2 stations here. So you have 1 station here and 1 station there in case you want to assemble a train in different directions, or I don't know, you want to bring a train in here for maintenance at some point. Maybe, you know, whatever you want to do, I have adapted for it. For the automatic building of the train, I have actually placed my schematic of the train here. So you can see it is placed so that it will be under all the deployers here. That's how I placed it. Then that schematic needs to be set to all the filters for all the deployers as we did earlier in the video. And then we can go upstairs and we need to make sure that this contraption controller here is turned on. You don't want to hit the filter here because that's going to remove the deployer. You want to hit the outside here. And when this is on, it's going to prevent our deployers down here from moving as they move as a contraption. And when we press this button here, you'll see that the piston is set to go down 5 blocks here and then wait for a signal. And then if we give it another redstone signal, it's going to go up 5 blocks. So we can make it go up again here. You can see it's not moving, or it's now moving without the deployers actually moving. And if we make it go down again, you'll see that it's going to go down into kind of its ready position here without moving the deployers. And then once it's all the way down, we'll go over here, we'll hit the contraption controller again, we'll go downstairs to our sequence gear shift here, and we'll hit it, and we'll go up, and now it will place all the blocks that we need for our train, just like so. And there we go. Now we have a full built train. We can go ahead and assemble this and drive it away. And then as long as we have all the parts up here in our chests, so you can see we had a bunch of parts here, we're missing some now. But as long as we have all the parts here, we can just keep building trains over and over again. We don't need to like reset a cannon, we don't need any gunpowder. We just lower this and then raise it up again and we got another train. So you can make this for individual carriages, you can make a bunch of locomotives. You know, this is a train factory. That's all for this video. Make sure to check the links in the description for schematics as well as the playlist to my full 30-day series. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. You are all amazing and help me pursue projects that were never possible before. Thank you. And if you're still watching this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.